So I have a commentary by Marcelo Gleiser. Is the apocalypse coming? The answer, no, it isn't. And it didn't in 2017, and now they're thinking, oh, the pictures in the sky, the stars are even closer. Take a look at these wonderful stars. Oh, what is this? It's just kind of like a square picture that a kid would draw. And you got the sun and the moon and Jupiter and blah, 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 blah. Screenshot. Biblical literalists claim the end is coming September 23rd, 2017 with a specific planet. And it didn't. With a specific, it's there, but it doesn't tell you what the timing is. And it isn't that great of a picture. In any case, according to the biblical literalists interviewed in The Sign, airing September 14th at 8 p.m., 2017. Let's move this out of the way. The sun, leaving the birth canal, is Jupiter, leaving Virgo. The red dragon is associated by some literalists with planet X, a planet wrongly conjectured to orbit the sun about 990 times more distant than the Earth, which the literalists say comes every so often to create havoc. To make a long story short, many biblical literalists affirm with utmost conviction, not much backup, but utmost conviction, in the documentary that September 23rd is it, the day the end comes as prophesied in Revelation. A preview of the film can be watched here, and so on. Fortunately, the documentary doesn't only present this version of the story. Michael Shermer, author and editor of Skeptic magazine, is there too, to make sense of the nonsense. And so are Ed Krupp, director of the Griffith Observatory, and Konstantin Batygin, an assistant professor of astronomy at Caltech. Together they explain the scientific arguments against such fears, including the fact that there is no planet X. Any such planet, given its elongated orbit and large mass, would have caused major instabilities in the solar system, including ejecting the Earth from its place around the sun. Given that Earth has been orbiting the sun for, they say, 4.5 billion years, its orbit is pretty stable so far. There is no such planet. Watching the documentary, what I find most striking is the strength of the literalist conviction. What will they say on September 23rd when the world remains where it is? Surely, as Shermer mentions, and it did, Trump may do something, or North Korea, but isn't it always the case that there will be turmoil somewhere in the world? And this turmoil may be interpreted as a sign from a biblical prophecy? Hasn't this happened over and over? Prophecy of the end after prophecy being debunked by the boring continuity of life as we know it. Of course, from my point of view, we have prophecy that has been fulfilled, but there's no prophecy here of the timing of it. It's just these people who don't bother reading the Bible, and most of them aren't even believers. Believers disagree. They argue that it all revolves around Israel and the mounting tensions in the region, and that this is it. Israel's existence, a chronology of dates from its foundation to wars, everything they say points to the veracity of the old prophecies. But there aren't any old prophecies that name exactly what they're claiming. One of them in particular, Michael Rood, has returned to Israel to watch the end unfold. Rood looks like a benevolent rabbi, a biblical patriarch. He is convinced that September 23rd, something will happen to the sun, signifying the dragon of the prophecy, although not necessarily planet X. He is convinced that God will send the sign, and it need not be consistent with science. In his world, there are two coexisting parallel realities, a natural and a supernatural one. Come the end, they will clash in decisive ways. The problem I have is that most people are not attuned to Christianity. The signs are meant for the whole world, and especially Christianity, where you have to go out and spend an innumerable amount of dollars on the research work and telescopes and education to come in close to do such a YouTube as this. The average person wouldn't have that expertise, nor have the time to spend doing that. I watched the documentary in a state of awe. The key question here is, what makes people believe in such literal readings in 2017? In my book, The Prophet and the Astronomer, Apocalyptic Science and the End of the World, I explored why apocalyptic ideas often depend on some celestial event and how such ideas have percolated from religion to science. The skies do display unusual alignments and phenomena that have been observed for millennia. So what should this happen over and over again? Christ has already been born. So the woman representing Israel with the 12 stars in her, which I didn't see in this picture, in her crown, she gave birth. Well, Jesus was given birth in the first century. Since for believers the skies are often the realm of the gods, the jump from seeing something strange up there to attributing it to some sort of divine message is not a huge one. Indeed, in culture across the globe, we find eclipses, comets, and meteor showers being associated with evil portents. If the skies act crazy, the gods can't be happy. If the gods aren't happy, we will pay for it especially. If you are a Christian, the sinners. The fear from the skies comes from the awareness of our essential fragility as we face nature's awesome powers. The current hurricane season is an obvious example of this, as is the recent solar eclipse. St. John makes good use of the blackened sun in the Revelation, knowing well that the image conjured terror in his readers. Actually, that's not the case. Joel chapter 2 talks about that, but those events have to occur in the order that it was depicted. If God controls the heavens and he makes the sun disappear for a few minutes, couldn't he just as easily make it go dark forever? Schirmer, Krupp, and Battigan do their best to dispel any potential danger. Krupp goes as far as chiding the literalists for scaring otherwise nice, good people with such fantastic tales. And actually, there is no definitive event of timing other than the rapture, and then 7 years later. Well, we haven't had the rapture yet. So why are we worried about the angelic conflict in the heavens? And these planets lining up, they've lined up that way before. The documentary explores the potential for an all-out nuclear war, starting with Iran bombing Israel or North Korea doing something equally outrageous. Of course, no one can predict what rogue states with nuclear weapons will do. It is meaningful that I am writing these lines on 9/11, a date forever tinged with blood in the U.S. However, even if something awful does happen on September 23rd, an act of war or of terror, it will be hard to know what came first, the act or the belief that an act on this date would conjure terror on large sectors of the population. The strength of the sign is to expose so openly the extent to which literalists, I don't know what literalists mean, will go to judge, because there is no literal the stipulation of the date and the time when these things will happen. Jesus was born 2,000 years ago. The angelic warfare, we haven't seen the rapture occur yet, and we haven't seen the tribulation period occur yet. So, these signs are just signs, and they're inadequate in terms of the precision by which these stars will be counted. There are billions of stars up in the sky. Which one do you use to formulate these two constellations? So, this is to expose so openly the extent to which the literalists will go to justify their beliefs, some using very complex numerology and coincidences as clues. Now, how are regular Bible readers, Christians, going to go into this very complex numerology? The film ends with someone, I suspect, wrote, asking, could this be the year? This could be the year. Unfortunately, any year could be the year. If anything, it's really up to us to collectively make a difference in what we see around us, from social injustice to disease and famine. To instill fear as an agent of change hasn't worked for millennia, and it won't work now. Well, also the timing in the Bible isn't giving us the specific things for us to expect anything to happen now. Last in 2017, we didn't have the rapture occur this time. Everybody's saying, well, those constellations are really precise. Here it goes. But John didn't say that when the constellations appear in the sky, that's when it'll happen. And the constellations have been in the sky for decades, hundreds of years. Marcelo Gleiser is a theoretical physicist and writer and professor of natural philosophy, physics, and astronomy at Dartmouth College. He is the director of the Institute for Cross-Disciplinary Engagement at Dartmouth, co-founder, and so on. So, that's what we have here. Let's go to the documentary I like even better, the commentary. Here's another great one. Is the end near? What astronomy tells us about Revelation 12. And here's the site where you can read this for yourself, right here. There are all kinds of fascinating intersections of the Bible and astronomy. The people who penned the Bible lived in a world very much in tune with the emotions of the sun, moon, and stars. We do too. Well, I mean, we've got space vehicles arriving at different planets in our solar system, the moon. But does the Bible endorse the belief that the sky can reveal the mind of God? That's a big question, too big for a single article. So let's instead turn to a commonly cited text people believe is related to astronomy, Revelation 12, 1-6. I've received this question several times over the last year. Are we about to see the fulfillment of Revelation 12? Moving on down to this, is the end near? What astronomy tells us about Revelation 12. Revelation 12 and Virgo. There are some who believe Revelation 12 is a reference to a particular alignment of the sun, moon, and planets around the constellation Virgo. The text reads, so, Revelation 12 and Virgo. There are some who believe Revelation 12 is a reference to a particular alignment of the sun, moon, and planets around the constellation Virgo. And the text in the Bible, Revelation 12, 1-2 and 5, and a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant and was crying out in birth pains and the agony of giving birth. She gave birth to a male child, one who was to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. How about Jesus? 2,000 years ago. Not last 2017 or now. Revelation 12, 1-2 and 5. Some believe that September 23rd, 2017, there will be a unique alignment of sky objects that fulfills this prophetic picture. The woman is the constellation Virgo. This constellation is represented as a woman in many ancient mythologies, from the groups who lived along the Euphrates to the eastern cultures of India and China, to the ancient Egyptians, to the classical cultures of Greece and Rome. Clothed with the sun means the sun will be aligned with Virgo. As the earth moves around the sun ends up being in the same line of sight with the different constellations throughout the year, what we call the signs of the zodiac. In September, the sun is aligned with Virgo. With the moon under her feet. That phrase means the moon will be aligned with the feet of Virgo. As the moon moves around the earth, it is also aligned with different constellations from month to month. So when is this going to happen? It's ever changing. On September 23rd, 2017, the moon will be near the feet of Virgo. On her head, a crown of 12 stars means there will be 12 stars directly above the head of Virgo. I didn't see those 12 stars in the other study. Let's see. The constellation Leo is directly above Virgo's head, containing what many believe to be 9 bright stars. Throughout the latter half of the month of September 2017, there will be 3 planets aligned with the constellation Leo, bringing the number of bright stars above the head of Virgo to 12. Oh boy. But it's not the only time. She gave birth to a male child is a reference to Jupiter in the womb of Virgo. Throughout late August and most of September of 2017, the planet Jupiter is lined up with the abdomen of Virgo. Jupiter was understood by